Joining us now, former Council of Economic Advisors Acting Chair Tom Philipson. Tom, 88% stocks is just telling you, if you're a regular old investor like me in funds and in your 401k, that you need to reallocate, that the stock market has run up great guns and you need to dial back. And Americans have totally gotten screwed in bonds and treasuries the last decade, losing. We've lost 1% of our money to inflation in the last 10 years. If you're in a long-term bond fund, you are lost more than 40% of your money, treasuries, in a decade. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, economists have long advocated that, risk is very dependent on the horizon. Obviously, if you're sitting at a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old, you have 30 or 40 years until you're going to actually use the retirement money. Short-term fluctuations doesn't really matter, while long-run averages really matter. So what has happened over the long run is that stocks earn about 9% in real terms, inflation-adjusted terms essentially, which beats the bond market certainly by a long haul. So it's actually, in my view, a lot of economists have more than that 80% in a long-run portfolio essentially allocated to mostly index funds to avoid sort of picking stocks, which a lot of economists think is sort of a futile effort.
So I just want to correct myself. It's 5 years. If you were in longer-term treasuries, the TLT ETF, you've lost almost half your money. Way to go, Uncle Sam.
Tom, I want to ask you this, switching gears just a little bit. The Trump administration is said to be discussing a 10% stake in Intel. There's some of us concerned about government taking a stake in a private entity. What about you?
Yeah, and when I first heard about that, that's everyone's gut reaction who doesn't believe in industrial policy, obviously. But if you look into it, it's actually a little bit more, it makes a lot more sense than when I first looked at it. It's because essentially the CHIPS Act is giving free money, grants, to Intel, and by demanding that those grants instead comes with a stock purchase, essentially what the government is implicitly doing is saying the taxpayers can get that grant essentially once they sell the stock on the company, and undoing really a CHIPS Act grant of Biden. For those who care about national security here, they will argue that this is a bad move because wouldn't the company be better off with a grant than actually having to give away equity? But that's not even clear either, because the stock spike that took place when this was announced was enormous, and then SoftBank came in and essentially purchased at that higher price. So I think the company really has benefited more from the stock hike than it would have from actual grant.
Do you worry, though, about we're still owed $11 billion from GM, from the bailout we gave to GM and the stock there. This just paves the way for nefarious acts and malfeasance and statism by a liberal that comes into office and power at some point.
I agree. Obviously, we don't want state ownership of private companies. I'm totally against that, like most people. But look at the alternative here. The alternative is you gave away money without any possibility at all of getting it back, essentially. Now you at least have a chance of getting it back with this rearrangement from a grant to a stock purchase. I think that's the big difference here from just looking at it, which is a natural reaction. Like, we shouldn't have government owning private companies. But this is converting a grant into something that the taxpayers can actually get back.
Tom Philipson, interesting perspective. That really is. It gives you a pause to really think about that one. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.